we are a new type of agency. Our job is to work with different brands and to teach them how to interact with their customer base. This can happen in many different ways. Some of the key ways is through brand partnerships. So we will leverage your brand or your product with popular people, popular products, influencers, and then that'll make everyone else buy that. So I was going to go over, it's key that when you discuss social media, you actually understand what social media is. It appears obvious, but it's not just saying Facebook. That's not what social media is. The actual term, which I came to further clarification today, is the means of interactions among people in which they create, share, and exchange information in virtual communications and networks. So it basically means us having a conversation via our online tool. And that is what social media is, that's what social networking is, and now social network is the most popular activity online. It destroyed shopping about 5 years ago. So more people spend more hours, more time, and are more influenced by social media than they are any other way. Facebook is the largest social media site in the world. It has about just over a billion users. LinkedIn is so important. It's actually more important than Facebook and Twitter for you, because that's the foundation, that's your core. That's you telling people that are also in business that this is what I do. And if you go to LinkedIn and it's a CV for your other side of life, like you want to, get a job while you're trying to find more work, and it just starts talking about your Tesco experience and your time that you did 3 months in an office, get rid of it. Take that all down, start again. You are a stylist, a photographer, a makeup artist. That is what you are, and you communicate that, especially on that platform. And then just to go over, in regards to the different sites there is Facebook, there is Twitter, there is LinkedIn, there's Tumblr, is also considered a social network because of the ability to share content and as easy as it is. Pinterest, Instagram, Google+, and YouTube. So next to Google, people search on YouTube. You should have a presence on YouTube. There is a massive but associated to that, but if you can have a presence on YouTube, have one. Whether it be a slideshow of all the pictures you've taken, a slideshow of all the shoots you styled on, just rotating images. Because as a search engine, they type in stylist tutorials and you come up, even with just the rotating image, there's an element of them going to say, okay, that looks nice, so let me go find out more, and there's traction. You want to be in that conversation. The massive but in regards to being on YouTube is there's a massive thing right now in businesses entering social media space and not understanding the importance of being consistent. So what they do is they get a presence on every single social media, they don't maintain them all. So if I visit your Facebook and the last post you made was June 2012, I'm going to think you either died, you no longer do this service, or you're just not very good at communicating what you do. So I'm just going to just switch off. Lost me straight away. You're better off having no page than an outdated page. So make sure you are able to update any space you enter. And if you are on pages on sites that no longer are updated, delete them. Delete them until you're ready. One thing I will say, list of sites that are particularly powerful, Google Plus is key. Can anyone tell me why they think Google Plus is key?
Get the pins on the map.
One, why else is Google Plus key? Because Google is the biggest search engine in the world. So if instead of, for instance, you would have a Google Ads campaign, which would be like, hey guys, if you need a makeup artist, you can find me on Google Ads campaign. Or you can have a Google Plus profile. It does pretty much as good as a job. It improves your search. So if someone types in stylist and you have a great Google Plus page, you're going to come higher in the search. The thing about people is they think, oh, there's no one on Google Plus, so why do I have one? Doesn't matter. They have the biggest search. Make sure you have some sort of Google Plus presence. With regards to Facebook, I will always say is have a plan. And in regards to all content, if you're going to enter a social media area, have a plan. This is what will save you so much time and so much hours of thinking, what do I post, and just not posting anything, or saying, oh, look at my cat, isn't it cute? Nobody cares about your cat. I will allow you one post out of 20 in regards to your cat, what you ate, what other things you did today. Your channel should be a mixture of who you are and what you do. And then what it is, you have a human element. So you just talk about the great things that go on in your life, but with an undertone of your professionalism. So it's today, I shot this amazing thing. This is what I just shot today. I woke up, this is the first thing I saw. This is me in the morning, here's a picture. Boom. But then you have to follow it up with other human elements. Like today, here's a picture of my family. Oh. But it's very well done, very well composed, etc. Great lighting, etc. Have a content plan. So if you are a stylist, you then need to have examples of other people's great work of styling. So you can say, this is the example of amazing work which I find engaging. Do you believe in this work? When you post your great content, have a question. Pose a question to people. If I just tell you social media is amazing, you're just going to look at me. If I say, so do you think social media is amazing? Maybe 3 of you might answer. That is the difference. You are in a conversation. You are not broadcasting yourself. Look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm hanging out with, I don't know, who's famous? Adele today. She's at the Brits. I took a picture of her. How amazing am I? You are saying, like, I love Adele. Do you love Adele? Here's us together. It's always a question. It's always a conversation. And you, in no conversation would you ever have just a broadcast, one-dimensional way of communicating. Common social media mistakes. Does anybody have a list or an idea of at least one really bad mistake people make on Facebook? I've alluded to some already. Is everyone going to go home? I threatened to send everyone home if no one has
personal
questions.
Stories?
Personal stories. You can have 1 or 2 personal stories, but on a whole, yes, random personal stories. Or I had a really bad day today, and I hate myself, and my boyfriend left me, and I didn't get paid by this guy called Dave, who promised me to put it in my account on Friday. It's now the following Friday. Nobody wants to hear that. Not one of your prospective clients wants to hear you rant about anything, especially not being paid, being dumped by your boyfriend. I have no friends. These are all the kind of things I see, and I'm just like, wow, who are you sharing this with? Like, it's open search. If I Google your name and Facebook, I can see some of your posts. Like, understand that if I just start seeing stuff about you that's weird, I'll just stay away. So some of these are some of the common mistakes. One, having no plan and just posting anything and not really thinking it through. The other one is not conversating, talking one way to everybody, just telling them stuff, boasting about your amazing life and not actually having any interest in engaging content. Again, another one is having no content, so being there 6 months late and realizing that you're still talking about stuff happening in June. Not working hard. So the key thing in social media is you have to consistently be at it. Is to put some time aside. I spend an hour a day on different clients of mine and also on my own, just in making sure that I am talking about topical things that are happening today with an undertone of what I'm about, so that people continually keep noticing and are no longer offended by my content. Forgetting to be human. So you're not just saying it's 10% off photography today, 10% off videography today. If you call me today and ask me to be your stylist, I will also be your friend and give you 50% off and make you a cake. These types of things are broadcasting, it's trying to sell, it is not a selling tool. Do not try to sell stuff on Twitter. It's the most horrible thing to ever watch and to read, and it actually sounds like spam. Also, a massive thing that people do is ignore comments. If the most obscure random person responds to you and they haven't got a picture, they're an egg on their Twitter, which you should never be eggs. But if you are an egg on Twitter and someone just responds and say, oh, thanks, respond to that person. Strike conversation, favorite it, retweet it, share it, like it, whatever it is. Do use some sort of engagement, because those people are the people that are advocates of your page and what you do, and they genuinely do care. The response rate on social media drops as the channel matures. So if you remember on Facebook, I'm sure you've all had one really early and used to post something and you get like 60 likes and this person would talk about it and then someone would inbox you and then you get phone calls. Oh my God, I didn't know you got this, congratulations. Now it's like you post something and it's like, cool, okay, just silence, there's nothing going on. Because people now are passively absorbing your information. They see it, they absorb it, but they now think, I don't actually need to respond. I've just absorbed it, thank you. That's what happens when the medium matures. It's happening now with Twitter. So you have to keep going. Just keep going. It's working. Okay? Don't look for responses in people responding back to you and telling you how amazing you are. That is not what's going to happen. Another thing they do is using your site as a CV. So put in like a list of all the jobs you've done, all of that stuff. Don't do that. Using different handles. So if on Facebook you are Dave Smith Makeup, and if on YouTube you are Makeup Man Dave, and then if you're on like Twitter you're something else, people will not be able to find you. Too focused on followers. It's another mistake that people make, is they think that followers is how you measure social media. It's not. If I have 10,000 followers but only 4 people respond to my comments, there is a misbalance into what I have done, and I've created a mess. What you really want is 100 people that follow you and 70 people that respond. That is a much better ratio. So more focus on who actually responds and how they respond, more so than how many followers you gauge, because you want true followers. You don't want some Chinese company or some Indian companies who send you loads of followers, you get a spike and then they disappear. Never buy followers. Ideally, I wouldn't pay for any kind of Facebook advertising campaigns or any of that kind of stuff. 2 reasons. Facebook advertising campaigns, what happens is you get your message to an untargeted group of people. Even if you attempt to target it by the thing, they don't have everybody's full profile information, so at times it will be just going to someone who has no interest in your business and you just spent however many pennies doing so. What also happens with that is you get companies who then, you pay for your likes for your advertising, they send you a bunch of followers and then slowly they start to drip off. One by one, you will notice. And what happens is they have these companies where, like on Facebook, you probably like, I think, 80 pages. So what they'll do is they'll get those people to like 80 pages, yeah, and then slowly go off, unlike your page, and like another 80 pages. So what you'll see is your page will go a massive spike, and this is amazing, and slowly they'll just drop off, one by one. Then you'll be back to where you were, but you've paid. So never pay for any kind of form of advertising or any of those kind of nonsense views things. Key performance indicators, KPIs. This is on Facebook. How you want to know if a post is worked is by shares, likes, and comments. Not how many people are on your page, just those 3 things. So look into those things and then test things. So one Monday morning, wake up and say, feel amazing today, going to do a shoot with this person, what's the best shoot you've ever done, and watch how many comments you get. Then the next day, say, I love this picture of this type of styling or this makeup artist, it's amazing, what do you think? Then see how much you got. Then every day, just keep looking and testing different types of conversations, different types of questions, and then you'll start to see what people want to hear from you. What I also do is you post stuff about industry news and you ask the world like what they think about it. So if there's a special tax, styling tax, if you're a stylist, we're going to tax you 60% now because we've had enough of you guys, we're going to drive you out. So you put that up there and tell the world this is what do you think of this? You start creating a forum. Then as people are talking and posting about this subject, you weigh back in and stir the pot a little bit. Say, and then also I've heard that they might consider in this. Well, that's crazy, don't you think? And then before you know it, you've got more people going, no way, tax 75% if you're all taller than 6'4", that's stupid. The other day there was a massive story of Ian Duncan Smith, Conservative, said that he can live off £53 a week. Stupid. It's the most stupidest statement in the world. Take that story, put it on your social media. Say, what do you guys think? Can't believe he said that. And then, can you live off £53 a week? We all know no one can. So everyone's going to come back and be like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And your job is not necessarily to be the opinionated one. Your job is to host the opinions. So actually, sit there and say, Ian Duncan Smith, there could be a chance. And some people can live £53 a week. This person said they could do it by this. Then there's another person who said that's the most stupidest thing in the world, it's impossible. Never be the controversial person. You never ever know who's going to hire you. If the Conservative Party tomorrow have a special event and one of the guest speakers, then want stylists and they want a makeup artist, and they're like, oh, but they're just talking about the Conservative Party, so let's not get her. Let's get the other one next to her. She's fine, she doesn't say anything. Never be controversial. Problem is, I worked in music, and you can say something so flippant like, Carly J Reps is rubbish. Then Carly J Reps manager could just be like, oh, I like what you're doing, Marvin. And then be like, oh, but you don't have my eyes. Oh, okay, thanks. The world is very, very small. The creative world is very, very small. And if you have a bad reputation, that will soon be shared amongst the world. So be careful not to go on a kind of I hate campaign. I think the key thing is to have your network and actually keep posting stuff. Because what happens is it's very similar to like the Twitter timeline and the Facebook timeline. As you post stuff, other people start to see it. It will get shared by other people, they'll agree with it, they'll like it, they'll repost it, and then that will get fed back to you. Always, like, content is key on social media. Content is everything. If you're uploading content and you're being consistent, that will always drive the right type of people back to you, always. So when I say have a content plan, you don't have to go as specific as this, but for the company that I was working for last year, we did 3 months of posts. So we wrote out everything we would like to talk about for a period of time. Then if anything happened ad hoc, like someone died or something amazing happened, we would just slip that in. But we would have content that would talk about, let me start again. We looked at what we did. So for instance, if you're a makeup artist, then I would look at, as a makeup artist, what area of makeup am I going to be in? If we was going to do weddings, for example. So now I'm into the wedding zone. What key things do wedding people want to hear from me to book me as their wedding photographer? They want to know that, one, I love weddings. So I'm going to start talking about weddings that I love. And here's an example. David Beckham got married again to his photographer. So we're going to talk about that and how beautiful it was. Then we're going to talk about what core values does a makeup artist need to have? Like, what vision do they need to have? They need to know what colours match what skin. So we're going to talk about skin and colour matching, and tones and palettes, and what brands are very good for what skin. These kind of things makes you an expert in an area. Because this is the kind of stuff that I don't know. So if I'm going to get married and I have to plan my wife's wedding like a crazy person on Bravo or something, then I'm going to be like, I have no idea how to do this. So I'm on your page and you're talking about colours and palettes, and this colour skin goes with this, and Mac's much better for this type of skin than Bobby Brown, and but that's not how I know this. But I have a secret life. I don't just do my But like they'll look at that information and think, do you know what? You've now just gone from being someone that's very good at your job to being an expert. Being an expert means that I'm now going to ask you, I'm just going to employ you because it's easier than me trying to figure it out. In regards to content creation, like, that's probably the most expensive thing and the biggest problem with businesses entering social media world is you need to find a friend that's a videographer that can edit for free or eat for cheap, which is obviously very hard to do. A designer who's going to make you pretty pictures and then put your stamp on it. The best thing I'll say to do is go, if you're on your computers, get like the free 30-day trial of like Photoshop and all those different websites there. Photoshop is very easy to learn, but if not, just get a tutorial and learn just to stamp your own pictures or stamp people's pictures with your branding. Like, learn that. That's very, very key. And then just do as many as you can within that 30-day period and then use them up. Yeah, your own pictures and images that you have the rights to. Make sure you stamp them with your own. And logos and stuff. Do you guys have logos?
No, but I do want one actually.
Get one. Like, that's part of your identity.
Yeah.
And when you're getting a logo, if you're going to do it yourself, be careful, but also research. Like, with our logo, it's based on DNA, so we have the font in a kind of DNA made up way. And it's all important. All of that says stuff about who you are and what you're about. When people land on your page, it's beautiful. What you do is you work in the art of beauty. The most majority of the reason why you all have jobs or careers is because people want to look beautiful, and people spend millions of pounds of keeping it that way. So if you land on your page and it looks like you handwritten your logo and handwritten your whole website, and your website's got Times New Roman on it, I'll click off. Lena, do you have any questions?
I was going to say, when designing a website, do I have to use WordPress?
No.
Because I find it a bit complicated.
What kind of website?
Well, at the moment, like me and my friend are trying to create a website using WordPress, but I'm finding it hard to like get to grips with it.
Okay.
So is there any other like easier program to design a website rather than using WordPress?
What are you using it as are you using WordPress.org or WordPress.com, which may confuse you, but they're two different
I
sites.
think WordPress.com.
Okay, because WordPress.org is like you have to build your website with coding.
Right.
WordPress.com is a back end where you basically just put, it's a content management system where you just put the post in, press publish, and it goes live.
Okay.
So, easier than WordPress, there's not many. Google a YouTube tutorial as to how to do it.
Right.
It's probably like 5 steps to it. Another really good website building tool is Wix.
I was just about to say that.
WIX.
Why not an external blog and Wix?
Yeah, like a Wix is basically a drag and drop. So you have a page, you put
Okay.
contact form there, pictures here. It's very, very easy to manage. Like I can make like one in 20 minutes.
Okay.
How can we maximize our Twitter database?
In what sense? Like your Twitter followers?
Yeah.
Like it depends what you want them to do and what an action is. I think your best bet is to inform them of your area. So just keep talking about specific area. So I have a really bad habit of talking about football on my Twitter, which is not great because it just means it confuses people. Is it music? Is it football? Is it marketing? Talk about one particular area and just keep updating people on. But just don't like paste things from other people and just like throw it out there with links, random links to other people's site. Try to feed it back to your own website, your own blogs. So that way it's like take your own stance on it.
Would you suggest pitching to new clients using Twitter or social media?
No, because I think it's a private conversation. It's a
Right.
negotiation, so always try to take anything offline. You can initiate a relationship online and be like, what's your email address? Like a really good tool, something that I learned when Twitter first came out, I used to like, the one thing about Twitter is it allows you to reach people. So you can reach people that you had no business talking to, you probably would never talk to in real life. So you can start a conversation when someone's talking and then they say something really random, come in with an LOL, that's so funny, that happened to me last week Thursday, can't believe it, ouch. Then they might respond back to you and then use that as leverage to just like start talking about the business and say, look, what's your email? I've got something I want to show you. And say, look, this is my portfolio, and take it offline as soon as possible. Try not to have a full negotiation, full business like quick Q&A session online. It's the most horrible thing to watch, especially when they don't respond.
I don't have a Facebook page, I'm a makeup artist as well. I've got a website and I'm on Twitter.
Evil.
Is that really bad?
You're wrong. Get one.
Should I make a Facebook page as
You
well?
should. And don't be afraid by it. Like the thing about the beauty of a Facebook page is you can't really go wrong. Press everything. Click on every tab, read what it says it does, and then just set it up. Like don't be confused by sort of computer jargon. If you get ready to start, every single social media has like a how-to on YouTube. Another good thing for measuring, to write this down, is called Klout, Klout, and check your Klout score. So Klout is basically a tool that analyzes what you talk about, and it will tell you who responds to your conversations the most, what conversations influence you the most, and it'll give you an overall score across your Facebook and your Twitter pages. It's a really good one. There's another one. It's good if it's done sparingly. There's a thing called Deliverit, DLVR.it. DLVR.it, and it's basically it publishes to your Facebook and Twitter. So if you are very, very busy, there's the wonderful lady at the back could just say, I haven't got time for all of this, which makes perfect sense. Wake up in the morning, do an hour of content. So you put all these different stories up, you post them out, and then you set the time for like periodical moments. So at 9 o'clock or 10 past 9, I'm going to talk about this, and at 12 I'm going to talk about that, and this time I'm going to talk about that, and then just put them out there bit by bit. I would use it quite sparingly because if everything you do is deliver it, it's very evident you're not human. It's just like, it's an auto tweet, it's like, who is this person? Another good thing to do is bit.ly links. So if you're talking about specific things, like use a bit.ly link, bit.ly. Basically, these are shortened links, so it allows you to put like a YouTube clip or a news story in a bit.ly link, and then you can track how many people have actually clicked on it.
Someone told me about Company House.
Yes. Please tell me you're all registered.
You should be registered.
No, I haven't. No.
Register your company.
Isn't it? I did go to register it, but they wanted. There was a few things that you have to require basically, and I think there was something on there that I didn't have. What the reason why I didn't register?
To register your company, that is the first step to get everything else. So there shouldn't be anything too crazy on there. They might ask you for like a business address, just put your house.
Okay.
But then also be careful because if you register your company, it's public information.
Yeah.
So make sure you pay for the extra private thing, because someone can just Google and find out your whole finances, your address, all sorts. So be very, very careful. There was a huge fraud going on about people registering as VAT collectors and just trading VATs. That's all they were doing. There was no product, there was no service, just trading VATs. So requesting VAT from one company into another and then just collecting the 5% difference. Yeah. They were making millions. They had like the shipping company, but if you're on both ends, then what are you doing? So there's loads of people that do that. But if you understand the system, do not be afraid to educate yourself. As a freelancer, that is your best friend. Because the more you know about tax, VAT, business rates, all these types of things, the more powerful you become as a freelancer. And I guarantee you'll start seeing your money shifting into the right direction. So.
Okay.